Well, hi. Today is Monday, February 23rd, 2026. I'm Todd Studer, and this is Morning Coffee. We have what I consider to be a really fascinating show coming up for you today. We got the Ericksons back into the online studio, Jessa and Jason from ThinkSpaceIT, and we are going to talk about internet plans, about different platforms that you may be getting your internet on. Could be fiber, DSL, cellular. What's best? Maybe it's even satellite. What is best? What should you be doing? Or should you be doing more than one? That is today's conversation with Jessa and Jason Erickson from ThinkSpaceIT on Morning Coffee. A leak, a clogged drain, or a big remodel, that's just what Waldstein Plumbing in Council Bluffs is wanting to do for you with fast, reliable service and expert craftsmanship, handling everything from small repairs to major installations. They're locally owned and trusted and take pride in doing the job right the first time. Residential or commercial, big or small, when plumbing problems strike, call Waldstein Plumbing. Visit waldsteinplumbing.com. Good morning. Start with peace of mind, and Miners Healthcare provides professional in-home support where it matters most, helping individuals maintain comfort, dignity, and independence in their daily lives. Their experienced nursing team focuses on personalized care, clear communication, and supporting families through every step of the process. It's healthcare built on trust, compassion, and real relationships. Learn more at minershealthcare.com. Joining us back in the virtual studio, it is the Ericksons, Jessa and Jason from ThinkSpaceIT. Good to see you both. Glad that you were able to make it through the storm okay. I'm assuming everything is okay.
I'm still breathing. Didn't get trapped in a snowdrift or anything fun like that. So, no,
you guys are located in Walnut. How was the snow depth out your direction?
About
Fairly
8 inches,
high.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I think the city of Council Bluffs is estimating 8 to 9. That's where they officially had posted what we got here, and I will say that the road crews in Council Bluffs all deserve raises because they're doing such a great job. And sometimes in the smaller communities, it's kind of hit and miss. And with that look, we'll call it the miss. But
No. To be fair, and I know this for a fact, the road crews were out. Oh goodness, somewhere between midnight and 2 at the
really,
very latest, and actually probably more frequently after, because I happened to be awake at the time. So no, they were running very early in the morning. They've always done a really good job around here. Getting out early when people aren't on the roads. So I have no complaints.
did the snow affect internet at all?
No.
was that a problem?
Our area, no. Well, there was some other areas that had some downed lines, but other than that, it didn't really affect it. Some internets are better than others, and that's part of what we're gonna converse about today, from what I understand.
I think that,
So
this is going to actually be a very, very good topic because we, since opening up the studios on Willow, have had a couple of different options here. One of them, which let's give you a plug here, can we? Because this is something that you guys provide, and this is cellular data.
yes.
And I can say from firsthand experience, the speed was much higher than I expected. It worked well. Now, if multiple people were trying to use it at the same time, it's going to slow down. But I think that that's probably the case with anything.
But yeah, absolutely. Honestly, everybody's going for that magic ring of gig, but realistically, most people only need a couple hundred meg. They don't really need the gig. It's a matter of math and how good your internet is, quite honestly.
Well, for us here, it's not so much about download speed. I mean, download speed is great, and it's a wonderful thing to look at. We're concerned about upload because we record everything on video, and those are big old files that we're trying to upload. So it can take a while.
Some of these. You guys are the, you guys are not the rule. You guys are, the outlier. And quite honestly, most people are more concerned about download than upload. Synchronous, which is what you're talking about, what you have now, which is where up and down speeds are the exact same. That is really good for folks like yourself who do video production, audio production, doing a lot of uploading type documents. A lot of times we'll see folks that do like CAD work, or they'll do a graphic design. They send these massive, massive files, and upload's important for that kind of stuff. But the 99%, quite honestly, you don't need much of an upload. You just need download.
So for these companies that are trying to upsell people on, hey, we can get you from, 200 to 500 or whatever, the point I'm hearing is, for the most part, it may not be necessary.
Right. No, I mean, honestly, most people are extremely happy with, that 250 meg seems to be the magic number right now. 250 meg will get you pretty much most of what you need. And, we're going to hear the gamers, because they're always the ones that scream, oh, well, I need to have gig and you need to have. No, it's a marketing thing that we've all kind of fallen for, is the thing. And my folks are very good at explaining that to customers and even, people complaining about issues is, if you're a gamer, you want something called latency. And latency, all that is it determines how long it takes for your computer to talk to the internet and back. That's latency. When you're playing a video game, you're sending really small amounts of data. You're sending probably less than a mega a second when you're playing video games. But when you're installing the video game, when you're grabbing large files, that's when that big download helps. But I've seen some folks with gig internet that their latency, their time that it took to get the internet and back was so large that they constantly thought they had internet issues. And they didn't. It's just trying to play video games, latency is king. And fiber is probably your best for low latency. DSL is probably your second best for low latency, but good luck finding DSL nowadays. Satellite is probably, on average, satellite's probably about the worst nowadays.
Yeah.
And cellular.
Sorry, Elon. That's just how it is.
No, it's just, it takes a long time. There is limits as to how fast things work. Radio waves are slower than the speed of light. Okay. That's the truth of it. And it takes a while for it to go long distances. And believe it or not, satellites are a long ways away. So it takes a little longer to talk. It's Elon has actually, his Starlink is probably one of the best for having the lowest latency as far as satellite is concerned, because his satellites are very close to Earth. So they have short distance to travel. Your traditionals that we used to have, a lot of the farmers used to have, those are your really long wait type stuff, because their satellites are way out there. Musk satellites are very close to the point where they'll fall back into orbit or fall out of orbit fairly regularly if they don't maintain. So it's a game. It really is. If you're trying to talk in the United States, actually, you can get speeds close to fiber with Starlink and that kind of deal. If you're going overseas, though, you actually can go faster over Starlink than you can through fiber, because light traveling through space travels faster than through glass. And I'm not getting to get to the math of that, because that makes this a whole different podcast.
Let me ask you something then, that I know that this is true for the old satellite dish, so I don't know whether or not this is true for the Starlink or other internet delivered or satellite delivered internet, that the closer you got to the equator, the more directly up and down that dish had to sit in order to work correctly. And for some people, because this goes back to my radio network days, where a lot of the content was delivered over satellite. So they had to have the receiver on their end in order to be able to get it. And we were trying to get somebody on in the Virgin Islands and was really struggling because it's closer to the equator and it had to sit more straight up and down. Is that anything to do with satellite delivered internet, or is that just a completely separate deal?
Today, The new satellites are in the series that you're talking about. We're basically talking to one satellite, and now we're talking to what are called constellations of satellites.
Okay.
So instead of talking to one satellite, we're talking to hundreds. And that's how Starlink works. It's just hundreds of interconnected or thousands of interconnected satellites. So when we have our little dish here, we're aiming it somewhat towards the closest constellation. Now, there's different constellations floating around different parts of the world. The old days, you used to always want to put the satellite dishes on the equator because that's what we could call geosynchronous, which basically means we can put a satellite in a specific point above the ground, and it'll basically mirror that location above the ground all the time. With the Starlink, they aren't going for that. Since they're constellations of satellites, they can be moving all the time, and that means our dish is connecting to a different satellite pretty much constantly. So that straight up and down issue, the aiming issue, is a lot less. Now, we still have the same issues with traditional satellites. Super bad weather, that kind of deal will block the satellite signal. It's just the nature of it. A lot of folks who've had, satellite TV will tell you that, when it rains, my dish goes out.
Yeah, heavy rain would take me out. I used to have that. I don't remember. At some point, I had DirecTV. Another point, I had Dish Network. I don't know how many there are now. But, it didn't seem to matter. Heavy rain, I'm waiting for everything to come back before I can watch the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's just the case of radio frequencies going over large distances. Cellular has that problem, but it's much, much less because we're not pushing a tower signal, halfway around the world. We're pushing it, few miles. So with fixed wireless, we have kind of the same satellite type issue, which you'll have, companies called WISPs and that kind of deal. If they generally don't have private frequencies, they're going to have the rain outage issue. Because you have to get into lower frequencies to really cut through rain well. And most of the time, the fixed wireless folks, the WISPs of the world, they're using the same frequencies that our routers are using. So they're limited by, carry and range and objects in the way, that kind of deal. Your cellular folks, the advantage they have is they have special frequencies. They have what are called private frequencies, which only they can use. None of our home equipment is going to be using the same frequencies as our cell phones. And as such, the different carriers have different frequencies. Some frequencies are great for inner city. The high frequencies are great for inner city because we can put lots and lots of people on those high frequencies. The problem is they don't carry very far, so they don't work well for rural. So rural areas generally have lower frequencies. Inner city has higher frequencies. High speed loves high frequency. So it's kind of a mix match type deal. So the WISP folks generally are stuck with one or two frequencies. The satellite folks are with one or two frequencies. The cellular folks have lots of frequencies to play with. And of course, fiber and your traditional copper, they don't deal with frequencies because they're just not interfered with as much.
So all of this, how do we know what is the right provider and how do we get the right platform in our house that is going to serve us the best? How do we know what to use?
So here's the thing. We need to determine whether or not your stuff is mission critical. If your stuff is mission critical, can never go down, you should have more than one provider. Plain and simple. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's becoming a thing, and you're going to see it more and more, especially with Starlink partnering. You've already seen Starlink partner with T-Mobile, where, this T-Mobile phones, a lot of them now will use the Starlink satellites for backup for data communications, texting, that kind of deal. In the future, we may see actual voice going over the Starlink network, which will make dead spots a lot smaller, a lot fewer. There's other providers, Verizon and them are dealing, I'm trying to remember the name of the group they are, and I don't want to misspeak because then people try to sue you. But they have a cellular group they're working with as well. So you're going to see a lot of what I'm calling technology convergence happening in communications. So you're going to have a couple providers coming into your house, and then you're going to have a piece of equipment in your house, which is going to determine how that works. Now, there are other providers, like T-Mobile, like for a plug for us, like ThinkSpace, where we have special technologies that we can actually merge multiple providers together to perform kind of what's called a super link, or it merges all of the different channels you have into one big massive fat link. The nice thing about doing that kind of technology is if it's done right, when one of your providers drops, you actually just slow down. You don't go down. So it just kind of drops that part of its channel off. And when it comes back, it brings it back up in.
This, Jason, and this sounds like a very simple solution to something that no one's been doing for a long. Am I right about that? Because listen, I have a former
for 20 years, but yeah.
Well, yeah, but I didn't know about it. And as an example, I have a former employer who will remain nameless, and their signal was internet delivered. So when the internet went out, they went off the air.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. And to have a system with some redundancy built in to where if this goes down, this one is there to pick up the slack, to me sounds like a really simple solution.
And the funny thing is, it's your industry that really spearheaded this at the beginning for mobile reporting and that kind of deal, where traditionally it was originally you had your satellite link and you had normally a phone link of some kind. Mm-hmm. Now, like that little device that you were holding earlier, which that is a T-Mobile device. We actually have a special device that we provide, which carries multiple cellular carriers at once, with the aggregate on there. So if you're a radio type person and you're going to be doing field reporting, you would take one of our little modem units, which has multiple carriers in it. It automatically bonds all the working cellular units together. And wherever you're trying to broadcast from, it will give you that almost flawless experience. So, in large events, that kind of deal, as well as I do, a certain cellular might get overwhelmed, slow down, bogged down, and the system will automatically say, wait a minute, it's faster to go across Verizon right now than it is AT&T or T-Mobile, and it will just automatically shuffle itself to the fastest path to make sure that basically when something goes down, the communication keeps going. The most common one that we have now, which, ours is a little bit of a specialty tech. There's not too many providers that can do the invisible fail like that. Most of the time there'll be a stagger. But since our system live states data across multiple channels simultaneously, you can be having this con call. Like we could be having our recording right now going on, and our primary internet may drop out. And you would actually never know because the con call would keep going. Originally, we looked into this technology for for desk phones. So that when an office and that kind of deal, historically, if internet goes out in your office phones, if you have VoIP, kind of die. But with our setup, we can actually have it set where we bond your cellular and, you can have a cellular backup on your primary fiber data or vice versa, because cellular data is very affordable now. And really the speeds are fantastic, but we can bond those so it'll automatically just, this section stopped working. The video call will just get reshunted up to what is working. And all that happens invisibly live. It's really cool tech.
I'm thinking of so many.
There's solutions.
I'm thinking of so many things going back in my career that blew up on me that this would have solved.
Yeah.
There was years ago, I'm doing radio up in Okoboji, and I'm a program director up there. And for Okoboji radio, July 4th is that's the day. And for anybody familiar with that part of the world, it draws a huge crowd. So we are going to be out on a barge in one of the bays, throwing beads and paraphernalia and stuff out to boats that come by, and we're broadcasting live from out there. And I came up with a wonderful idea. Technology back then had something called a tie line. And a tie line would take a cellular phone call and make it almost studio quality, and it sounded great. This was like the height of tech back then. So this is how I'm going to do it. And I'm right out there in the bay, and this is going to happen. What I never considered was 100,000 people in town were all going to be pulling data off that tower. And it was horrible.
Yeah. And the cellular companies have realized this too. So this is kind of the fun differentiator between your discount cellular providers and your big affiliate providers, your T-Mobile, Verizons of the world. They have technologies now built into their towers, with 5G and above, that does things like slicing, prioritization, that kind of deal, where it originally started by cutting off a segment of the frequency just to be used by first responders. So like when you're in Okoboji and that kind of deal, it gets super busy, those first responders, their stuff has to work, cell phones that have to work. Well, if you pay your premium prices and that kind of deal, which, you have to go through a partner like ThinkSpace or something like that to get these technologies really, your business can get put on a priority channel so that you get first dibs on the towers over everybody else, to the point it'll bump people off on the low quality or the carrier or the consumer grade circuits. So your cell phone and your data work, and people on your discount carriers, which I'm not going to throw them out, but they're usually always yelling, hey, $15 for the first month. You're going to be the first one falling off the network when there's congestion, because, you get what you pay for. So yeah, it's just, there's a lot of cool tech now that's bonding stuff. There's a lot of cool tech that is, stuff that businesses don't realize that they really could use. Failover internet is huge. And there's good companies out there doing a lot of good stuff with it. We have great technology for failover. We actually have a failover deal that, it's not very much a month, but your internet goes down, we kick you over to cellular for the time that you're down, and it's a low monthly. And then if you go crazy and are down for a long time, there might be a little bit of a bump, but not much. And your business keeps working. Because I've had a lot of folks come to me saying, it drives me crazy that, I had to send people home yesterday because their internet went out. And that does sound crazy. It sounded insane 10 years ago. I mean, why would you send people home if your internet doesn't work? But nowadays, that's the truth of the matter. All of your applications, everything's out on the internet. If you don't have internet access, you're dead in the water. So now, we were able to provide through cellular and that kind of deal. We can actually get up to a gig speed through cellular in some cases. Rural, sometimes we're down to about 300 meg. But there is a huge push by the cellular markets, especially the primary affiliates, to provide that gig experience to homes. And they're pushing hard.
Well, I can tell you from personal experience with what we have, and we're in downtown Council Bluffs, so there's a lot of buildings around and things like that. And with this being 2 rooms away from where I was at, I was doing 700 download speed. Now that was usually it was in about the 650, but I did see it touch 700 once because I'm just I'm OCD about that stuff, so I'm checking it all the time. I wonder where this is at, so I was just doing all that. Jess, I wanted to ask you, because listen, you're married to one of the greatest operations persons out there, and you have him in the right position to be able to do that while you are running the company. And it's up to you to find a way to effectively get this information out to either current clients or potential clients. So how has the reception been as you've talked about some of this stuff with folks? I mean, it's to me, it sounds like everybody should know about this.
And you're totally right. Everybody should, because, like Jason talked about, if you've got mission critical stuff and you can't afford to be down, you really need to take a look at this. And when I talk to people, most people think, no, I don't need it. I don't need to spend the extra money. And you know what I'm going to tell you? If I didn't think you needed it, I would tell you flat out, I don't think you need it. But when I recommend something, I'm doing it because I honestly think it's the right move. Because the crummy thing is, here in Iowa, we experience the whole gamut of weather extremes. Powers can go out, transformers can get taken out by raccoons. Trust me, we've had it here. I don't know how many times. So power can go out, internet can go out pretty easy and pretty quickly. And when you're trying to do your job and then all of a sudden you get sidelined very unexpectedly, this day and age, if you have to send people home, it's ridiculous. There's no reason you should have to send people home. We have a very simple, very cost-effective solution that, come on, let's go.
Yeah, it's an insurance policy.
It is.
Essentially.
Well, IT is very much an insurance policy. It is a must-have investment that people still don't quite understand, because most people just don't understand what it is it can do for you and how it can save your bacon in more than one way.
Listen, I'm making my living out here online, and I don't know it. I just need it to work. That's my thing.
Yeah, it's been the most common name that everybody hears is Cradlepoint. That's the most common cellular failover tech, and they're good at what they do. Don't get me wrong. I think there's better, more efficient ways, less expensive ways to do it. Which we don't sell Cradlepoint. We have our own solution, but it allows us to flex, and it allows us to pull in. I mean, right now, if I had to, I can connect up Starlink, cellular, and fiber internet all into one failover unit. And I mean, if you can't keep your internet going with those three, you might as well call it a day.
All of that makes perfect sense. ThinkSpaceIT.com is the website to go learn more, get in touch with Jessa, and get Jason into your facility and get you running and get that insurance policy in place with all of this stuff you're talking about. This stuff's fascinating. I think that, like you said, for you, it's been around 20 years. What are you talking about? I didn't know. and I think that for a lot of people, I think that's the case. Those that are in that world, of course, yeah, but for many of us who are just out here grinding, trying to make a living, this is new information for us. And I think that we need to pay attention to what's going on. So grateful as always that you guys take some time to educate us, and you do it really well. You know that, right? The way that you two can describe IT is unlike anyone in the industry that I've ever talked to. Because when I talk to you, I don't feel dumb. And anyone else, I do.
You should never feel dumb. When it comes to IT,
go ahead, Jessica.
To IT, there's no dumb question. If you don't know, you don't know. And really the only dumb thing is not to ask the question.
Yeah. And honestly, it's always been a problem in the IT industry, especially, where a lot of times if somebody's talking way above your head, they're trying to pull something on you. Quite frankly, it's like if I talk to you about whiz bang shiny and you glaze over because you have no clue, a lot of times that means that, hey, I get to charge more, So, I mean, if they can't talk to you in simple terms to make you understand what technology you're getting, you may want to keep looking.
If you want to have that conversation, ThinkSpaceIT.com is the first place to go and to get that thing launched. Jessa, Jason, thank you so much for your time, and looking forward to having you back again really soon.
Yeah, we'll talk about something else that everybody doesn't know.
Sounds good. If you're looking for a laid-back spot with great food and even better company, come to the Mile Away in Council Bluffs. Well, not today. They're closed on Mondays, but you want to keep them in mind because first thing tomorrow morning, starting at 8 o'clock, you can stop out for breakfast. They're open for lunch Tuesday through Friday as well, and, of course, at any point during the weekends. It's a family-run bar and grill, and it is your go-to for mouth-watering wings, unbeatable weekly specials, and a welcoming atmosphere that feels like home. They're located on Old Lincoln Highway, north of Council Bluffs, and follow them on Facebook for the latest events and specials. The Mile Away, where great food and great people come together. And Morning Coffee, supported by Bryce Taylor and GLI Insurance Group, proudly serving Council Bluffs, Tabor, and Clarinda. Bryce and I are going to be out very, very soon with another restaurant highlight. And this one, we're actually going to be outside of Council Bluffs. I'm not going to tell you exactly where it's going to be at yet, but chances are you've heard of it, and I know that it's a place that I really like to go to, so I'm looking forward to it. We should have that show for you before the end of the week. Bryce and his team at GLI Insurance live and work right here in our communities. They're always happy to sit down, answer questions, and help neighbors make sense of their coverage. GLI Insurance Group, local people, local service, helping our communities start the year strong. Thanks again to the Ericksons for joining us today from ThinkSpaceIT with all of the great information. Looking forward to having them back again real soon. My name's Todd Studer, and we'll see you back here tomorrow morning.